back, curious sailors. This is Martina from Argentina from the Serenade of the Seas, and today I'm gonna answer some of the questions that you left on my Instagram and some other questions that I heard being asked around a lot about, of course, our return to service and especially crew life on board cruise ships, getting ready to sail once more with guests. So today we have a little bit more footage from our second embarkation procedure, in which we took around 600 new crew members that came on board to start their quarantine before they can rejoin their working force. So let's jump right ahead to the questions that you left for me. Alright, first off, is the youth staff team complete or just half of it? Well, let me answer that in a general way. For all ships that are coming back to service, first the key management roles will be the first to embark to get all the offices and everything ready to be able to welcome their team members. After that, some supervisors will join as well, and perhaps some parts of the team too, again to be able to welcome full teams later. So this happens by groups, let's say from the top all the way to the bottom. So for example, here on the first wave of sign-ons we had the Adventure Ocean Manager join us, and only now in the full mass crew sign-on we got youth staff team on board, and some might arrive even later just before we come back to service. So yes, all departments are being manned from the managers to the supervisors to the general staff a little bit later. So yeah, in relation to that question, it's pretty interesting because at first we were told that the ship would not be at full capacity, both with guests and, following that logic, also not crew, but Serenade of the Seas, at least in particular, has just achieved par level. That's what we call when we have full crew, is almost 800 people for Serenade of the Seas. So that means that the numbers of guests will also not be reduced. So that is something that actually even surprised me. I assume that vaccinations have made this possible in a more safe way. So following that, there's a lot of people that have asked me if you share cabins during the quarantine and later, because as well before it was said that as long as we could, crew members would not share cabins. So during your quarantine, you will be in a single cabin. Up to now, it's been on guest cabins, and especially with balcony. Those that don't have balcony get 2 fresh air breaks during the day. But after that, once you're vaccinated, you will share cabin with another crewmate. Yes, masks are mandatory no matter if you're vaccinated or not. For now, masks are mandatory regardless if you're vaccinated or not. I did hear that in Adventure of the Seas, the guidelines for masks were a lot more relaxed. But remember, the cruises to Alaska still required vaccinated guests as well as crew. Not like Florida, that has put down those guidelines to no longer require guests to be vaccinated. We have another question about Indian crew joining. The latest that I heard was that some charters were being organized for Indian crew because of the situation in the country. It's a very delicate procedure in which there's a lot of PCR testing, a lot of quarantines in hotels happening. Pamela asks if the crew can get off in Coco Cay, and yes, crew members are able, as of what I've heard, to get off the ship twice a week to go to Coco Cay. En español, sí, la tripulación al parecer puede bajar en Coco Cay cuando vayan en sus cruceros con pasajeros hasta ahí. Aparentemente 2 veces por semana les permiten bajar y disfrutar de la isla. Not to be confused with our crew Coco Cay days, that is all the ships that were around the Bahamas were able to get their crew off the island twice a month when there were no guests there. Where is the Serenade going after the Panama Canal? Well, we crossed from the Atlantic to the Pacific, all the way from the Caribbean coast to Seattle. We're going to Seattle, Washington to start our cruises to Alaska. Serenade of the Seas will have the first revenue cruise, as we call it, our first cruise with guests on July 19th, sailing out of Seattle, Washington to Alaska. It's a 1-week cruise, but we will have actually 200 guests on board on July 7th for a test cruise going only to one port, and those are volunteer guests that actually work quite closely with Royal Caribbean. I will tell you more about that in the video, specifically about enjoying the climate. Well, it's getting really humid down here around Panama. If you saw my live crossing the Panama Canal, I was joking about the freeze and all the humidity and the rainfall. So I am a little bit excited to get back to the cold and experience some different climate up there in Alaska. And yes, of course, I'm putting together an awesome video about the Panama Canal. I did a 2K time lapse of the whole thing and captured some special moments, of course. So look forward to that one. And as well, I'm thinking to put up some images of our day at Coco Cay as well. And if you have doubts about joining the ship either in the USA or in Europe or in Asia, don't forget to watch my videos about that. And also don't forget to watch my quarantine video so you can see how that experience goes. Okay, we got a bunch of questions from my awesome friend Pedro. Thank you so much for inputting a lot of questions. What ports I'm most excited to go back to or visit for the first time? Well, Alaska, I'm definitely super excited to go there. It's definitely been on my bucket list. Actually, the Serenade of the Seas was on my bucket list to do both Alaska and Australia. Sadly for now, there's no crew leave in ports, and that's another really good question that I'm throwing out there the answer to. There's no crew leave for now planned for the whole Alaska season. I hope that can change for my crewmates staying on board. I'm just gonna do the first revenue cruise and then I'm going home for a long-awaited vacation. But definitely I would like to come back here and see more of that, Australia and Alaska. I did not get that yet. I saw that that's a program that they have started on the other ships where you get a photo, of course not wearing a mask, and then you wear a badge with that photo on you so other crew members and guests can see how you look like behind the mask, and I think that's pretty cool. Oh my god. So that's it for the Instagram questions that you guys left for me, but let's run through some of the topics that everybody asks about. The crew bar is not yet open. We do have the guest pool bar open for now, and afterwards apparently the procedure is that you will be able to pick up some beverages from the crew bar but not lounge, not spend your time there. The Wi-Fi for now is free. We just have a 1-hour package that we have to restart every time it's consumed. But following what I've heard from other ships in service, we will still have WhatsApp for free. Of course, not video calls, not video sending, but the messaging part of it. And then 2 hours for free daily to use at your convenience. But don't take my word on that. I will let you know once we are back with guests. The slop chest, as I showed to you before, is operating out of the R bar in the Centrum on deck 4 because it's a more spacious area, and those in quarantine actually can order from the slop chest, something I was not available when I was in quarantine, but I'm really glad they put it together. So of course you cannot get to financial, so they gave you a $50 credit to spend during your quarantine, and once a week I think it is, you can order some stuff from there. And yes guys, all teams are coming back to ships. What I have noticed is that the last to be returning to cruise ships are the third-party workers, that is the art auctioneers and the spa, for example. They do tend to be coming last in to our return to service, but of course once the ship is sailing with guests, everybody will be on board and all departments will be fully operational. That's it from me today guys, hope that was useful, and don't miss out of course on the next video that will be the Panama Canal. And of course look forward to all our videos about our experience returning to service. Thank you so much for watching. As always, like the video if it helped you, and subscribe to catch all those videos that I just mentioned. Stay curious and I'll see you next time. Ciao ciao.